The waterfront, the St. Louis River waterfront, the harbor area, looking at it, what are your feelings about recreation, business, the cross-use, state, federal, whatever, of that part of our city? For the young, the old, what are your thoughts about that?
Thank you. So Greg.
We have a beautiful waterfront. There's no question. It's one of our bigger resources here. We have, I think it's the longest running sandbar in the country, maybe something. It's really amazing what we have right in our backyard. I can't imagine. Again, I'm born and raised here. I feel a little claustrophobic when I'm not around a body of water. Actually, when I'm inland, I guess you would call it, I feel like I need to be around a lake. So I think it's a wonderful resource. We live in a wonderful area. And I think if we're strategic and we do it right, we can capitalize on it, for one. I think industry, business, of course, that's the Twin Ports, the shipping industry, that's all part of our economy, obviously, so we can capitalize on that more. And then the other thing is to harness some of the traffic that just rolls right through Superior, right on over to Duluth. We need to capture some of that stuff that's rolling through Superior. So how do we do that? We develop some of these areas to become a little more touristy and a little more attractive to people that are passing through. So that's, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Jim.
A little bit about our waterfront. This is probably the most important resource we have in the city. Many people don't know that the vast majority of the shipping business and traffic is done on the Superior side of that harbor. So it's vital to our economy, but the industrial development along the waterfront is changing. And there's an opportunity for us right now to start developing this, not just as a tourist place for us, for people to come from outside to use, but for us to use. This was what Duluth started doing 30 years ago, to start focusing on a great place for us to live so that we can go and use it. Now, Duluth and Minnesota is still pursuing that. Minnesota and the state of Minnesota and the city of Duluth are right now getting ready to develop the St. Louis River corridor to make a whole nother beautiful area for people to visit and play. We need to be on board for that project. So I do believe in developing a recreational waterfront, partially because it's a way to protect it. I believe very much that this is a resource that we need to pass intact to the next generation so that they can enjoy it as much as we did. And part of the way we do that is making people appreciate it, allowing people to have access to it and use it. So to me, the first and most important use of that waterfront is allowing citizens of all economic statuses to be able to use it freely.
Thank you, Jim. Mayor?
We have and we are doing. I'll start with Billings Park. It's on the waterfront, but it's an age-old park, WPA project. We're putting about, I want to say, $700,000 into that park phase one this year to revitalize that for more community and family use. Some of those walls that we've seen tumbling down are to be repaired, replaced, and then phase two is another faction of that. Wisconsin Point, one of the things we started to do in 2011 or 12, the Pond Lock tribe has a great interest out there with regard to the ship keepers, the lighthouse keeper's house, and with the interpretive center and so forth. But we have a unique opportunity here that we haven't been able to get everybody on board with. The city owns part of it, the county, the DNR, UWS, and the Fond du Lac tribe has an interest out there. And so I think as a team, as a group, as a consortium, how can you not get approval for a well-thought-out plan through the Department of Interior Federal or the Department of Commerce? It's so unique, the ownership out there. For the interpretive center, a boardwalk would be great so people could recreate, view, sit out there and read whatever along the upper side. This year, we're going to put about $700,000 of our roadway out there that's going to be paved this year, which is part of that, plus some better pull-off areas. The road is gravel, and the reason it is, the trucks hadn't used it for the landfill. You know, we were required to take dirt out, stockpile it, and put it back. We couldn't store it on land. So we're getting there, but it's going to take that group of people, that the organization, state, local, and tribal, to make that happen. Osage Trail, we talked about moving that all the way to Connors Point. Back when Connors Point was turned into an industrial park, not one of those new industries there needed to be on water. And it should have been another segue to Canal Park back and forth.
Thank you. Okay, ready to ask, and bringing one question.
To our economy and our citizens. I used to work out at Barker's Island Inn, and I always used to say it's like kind of stepping away from Superior a little bit. It's gorgeous out there. I mean, taking a walk down there, the beautiful waves, and it's always a different weather that down there too. It's gorgeous. So we need to make sure that we're keeping up. And I don't think we need to spend a lot of money on it, but we need to focus on it and really market the beautiful land that we have down there. Wisconsin Point is another area that we don't necessarily need to spend a ton of money on because it's a perfect just as it is, except that there's two issues. There's two issues with the roadways, and there's also issue with the crime down there. So we need to figure out what we're gonna do so that when people go down there with their family, that they can feel safe. That is a huge issue. And then the roads, we don't need to come back with a flat tire or struts gone. So we need to focus on the safety of ourselves and our vehicles. There's another untouched resource that I like to focus on, and it's the municipal forest that we have right in our backyard. Me and my husband and daughter, we go walking in there all the time during the summer months. We don't ever see anybody, but it's gorgeous, and it's so serene and beautiful, and it's a great hiking area. We just really need to show people the awesome things that we have in Superior.
Wisconsin Point is just a serene place, and there is a Wisconsin Point committee, and there's different there's people on the tribe on that committee. We have a former city councilor that's kind of taken this project under his wing, who's on the committee as well as others, and they've come up with plans for the Wisconsin Point area, and I believe those should be available online if you want to know more about them.
I have seen it.
Okay, good, good. Now, as far as the St. Louis Bay and that waterfront and Village Park, I know the mayor touched on that a little bit. Not only are they going to be repairing the roads out there, just so you know too, the main entrance into the park, just so you know if it hasn't already been, if you don't know it, is going to be closed for a couple months, probably till some point in mid-July, for the road repair. But you can still walk in there and have access to that, to the other points. But as far as going with Village Park and St. Louis Bay, the Army Corps of Engineers have been working on cleaning that up, and it's going pretty good. Matter of fact, they're talking about, I don't know if years ago they used to, at least when I was a young kid, they used to have a swimming house there. Okay, maybe a lot of you remember that. Well, there's talk about maybe even coming up with that again in the future because they're finally cleaning up the bay. It's going to take a little while longer, but that's how far they're progressing on that. So yeah, the waterfront, is an important commodity to the community.
Thank you. Now you can speak.